here after a not being on here last week at all. Ready to dive into what we've got going on tonight. Football is right around the corner. We are still trying to poke and plan at what we've got going on, but as you know, I am juiced up for college football and NFL. Going to have plenty of Big Ten stuff coming your way from me as far as college football is concerned, and of course some more NFL stuff as well. So getting geared up, getting excited for that for sure. But today, I believe all we've got going, unless I'm drawing a blank and missing something else completely, which wouldn't always surprise me. Mostly rocking just some baseball tonight. So probably going to be pretty short and sweet. Going to be blasting right through it. As you can see, we do have Women's World Cup going on, but I cannot help you too much at all there as well. But nonetheless, we don't have to save too much time here. As far as this past weekend is concerned, obviously had a nice golf tournament, Wyndham champ, Lucas Glover, a lot of guys on the bubble of FedEx playoffs. So that is going to be starting up here very, very soon. I believe the first one is this weekend, FedEx St. Jude Championship. So I think it's the next 3 weekends of golf should be really, really exciting, really entertaining. One of them kind of in my neck of the woods. Next week, the BMW Champ, south of Chicago. So excited to watch that one, obviously on TV. And then we are a lot closer to, especially college football, than everyone realizes as well. Week 0, if they're still calling it that, Saturday, August 26th. So 2 Saturdays away, I believe, or 2 more Saturdays without it. And then we'll be rocking and rolling for some college football. So I cannot wait for that. But as I was saying, we've got one baseball game going on right now. Dodgers and Padres in San Diego. San Diego up 5-3 and the top of the 4th, 1 out. Some balls, extra bases flying around. Only 1 home run going on there. But pretty big series. Obviously, San Diego is still trying to dig themselves out of the 500 back and forth. Or I guess if in their case, dig themselves above 500 finally. Not dead out of the wild card race, obviously. The NL wild card race pretty packed in there. So I'm sure we will touch on a little bit of that going on here today. But we've got a few games here in an hour and a half starting up on the, Midwest, East Coast side of things here. But first one up, and we'll dive right into it, is going to be Miami and Cincinnati. 5:40 my time, 6:40 East Coast time. Yuri Perez and Brandon Williamson for the Reds in this one. As far as this one is concerned, Miami minus 140 on the road here. As far as the two teams right now, both these two teams, maybe if you've noticed one other than the other, maybe you haven't noticed either of them, not playing their best ball right now. Reds 6-game losing streak smoked by the Chicago Cubs, the red-hot Chicago Cubs. And then subsequently this past weekend swept by the Nationals 6-3, 7-3, and 6-3. So pretty consistently there. They're tied with the Cubs now for the wild card. I think the last wild card spot, and 1.5 behind the Brewers for the NL Central. On Miami's side of things, 1-6 their last 7. They have slipped a half a game out of the wild card, so behind the Cubs and the Reds here. So this is obviously a massive series for both these two teams getting their feet back underneath them, but obviously moving forward here into the dog days here on these wild card races. As far as tonight is concerned, you've got Yuri Perez, Brandon Williamson. Perez, if you haven't paid attention, another one of these young guys in this Miami rotation that they've got a lot of faith in going forward, has shown some serious flashes of being a really good pitcher. Obviously has some hiccups and some control issues at times, and has a couple blow-ups on his resume this year, but at times he's got some really good stuff going on. Last time out, 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run in his last start. Flip it over to Williamson, 4 1/3 inning, 5 earned run last time against the Cubs. So not quite the same story here for Brandon Williamson. He has not been very good. Just to put it bluntly here this summer, was pretty damn good actually in the month of July, and then just hit a regression start last time. So if you're looking at tonight's odds and you see Miami minus 140 and then plus 120 for the Reds, after what I just said, you might say, well, maybe this is definitely Yuri Perez, kind of shining a light on how good he's been, and then another issue, kind of second in a row regression start from Williamson. And I think that could be what we see, but now we've got a total. You look at the total, and instead of an 8.5 or a 9 or something along those lines, if that's what it was and that was the money lines, I'd say Yuri Perez is going to be lights out tonight. And he could very well be that. But we've got a 10.5 total. We've got 4.5 run total for the Reds, 5.5 for the Marlins. So it does seem like maybe Williamson is going to get lit up, but a 10.5 total suggests that unless Williamson has given up 8 himself, there might be a little bit of struggles both ways here. So I'm not going to jump in the boat and say this is definitely going to be a Yuri Perez dominant start. He might have some hiccups there. Maybe it's kind of just the 10.5 is kind of giving way for at least one of these guys, let alone trying to decipher who it is. It does seem like the wind is blowing out tonight, 9-mile-an-hour wind straight out here in Cincinnati, so maybe we see some long balls out of this one. But it is a little interesting to see Miami as -140 on the road here against the Cincinnati team, very close in the standing here. And obviously Cincinnati's lost 6 in a row, but like I said, Miami's not playing well right now either. So I really don't know what to make out of this one. It is going to be a very nice series, very big for wild card implications here to get these, either of these two teams' feet back underneath them here. So I'll lean towards the Marlins on the road, getting the respect there. But at the end of the day, I would not be surprised to see old Yuri Perez leaking a little bit, as well as Brandon Williamson. So we might see a 9-8 type game or something along those lines, a higher scoring game than what we've been seeing. Obviously, this Miami offense has been a little inconsistent, so it would take them to wake up a little bit. They just had a goose egg yesterday. Last 4 games, an 8-9 loss, so that's their one nice spot. And then the other 3 games, 2-0. So offense needs to get going here. But with the 2.5 and Brandon Williamson on the mound, maybe that is suggesting what that's going to be. If you believe in, if you want to at least just believe in this Marlins offense to wake up, I think it's 5.5 for the Reds team total there. But not strong thoughts, but at least wanted to break it down a little bit and give both sides of a little bit of a goofy coin on this one. So next 2 at this hour, Washington and Philly, same time there. You've got Williams versus Suarez. Williams, not too good these last 2, has not been very consistent all season long. Suarez has shown some nice signs. 6 1/3, 10 hits allowed last time, though. Only 1 earned run skated through it versus the Marlins. Phillies 5-2 last 7. They are in that I think tied with the Giants for the top 2 wild card spots right now. And this Nationals team, 4-game win streak right now. After the All-Star break, 13-9. So obviously before that 4-game win streak, they were 9-9. But for a team that we kind of predicted as, and they did do this for 2-3 weeks, as kind of the third team to slip and be the about a 3-4 team in the league after Oakland and Kansas City, they've really been, I would say, pesky out of the All-Star break here, 13-9. So the odds that they are right now, obviously giving a lot of respect to Phillies at home. Not saying to jump into the boat with the Nationals here. But at the end of the day, I think there's, with a total of 10, kind of suggesting that, again, not just one of these guys might have a bad day. Either one of these is, has the potential to have a bad day. So I'm not saying dive into the well with the Nationals here. Maybe take a look at the team total. You can get them, it would be plus money over 4.5. Obviously, a big number, big pill to swallow with the Nationals team, but I can see this Nationals team, like I said, 10 hits last time for Ranger Suarez, only 1 run allowed. If he's doing that again, he's bound to give up more than a couple this time around. And with a team that I've deemed as quote-unquote pesky, I could absolutely see it happen. So slight interest in the Nationals putting up a few runs. Could the Phillies absolutely put up 10, 11 runs, and that's why I'm staying away from the money line? Absolutely. So I'll lean towards the Nats putting up a few runs and getting the plus money on the team total for their sake tonight in Philadelphia. Twins and Tigers AL Central matchup is the next one up. Still that same time slot. Pablo Lopez and Wentz for the Tigers. Lopez 2 earned runs or less in each of his last 3. He's been kind of rounding into form, looking really nice right now. Wentz 4 2/3, 4 hits, no earned runs. Last time out, jury's still out on what we're going to see from him. Tigers as a whole kind of slipping slowly a little bit, inconsistent as they've been most of the season, but they've had points, obviously, of being, quote-unquote pesky. But right now, a little inconsistent. Offense not really clicking by any means right now. Obviously not a very good offense on paper. And this Twins team is coming off a sweep of the Diamondbacks. They now have a 4.5-game lead on the Guardians. So after getting a little close and testy for a second there, they've got a 4.5-game distance between them and Cleveland now. This one still, however, I would like this one to be a little, I would honestly like to see minus 200 if I was feeling that confident. Not saying the Twins can't win. If I was feeling that confident in the Twins' chances tonight, I mean, this one has climbed after opening as well. So not only are you getting inflated from where it's been, I would have respected with the, Pablo Lopez pitching as well as he's been, coming off of a sweep, now 4.5 up in first place of the Central against a team that's not playing well right now. I'm not saying it's the stink of the night necessarily. You need to rush to the window of the Tigers. I'm just saying beware a little bit. This is not as I'm not deeming this one as easy as you might think. So beware a little bit of this one. I think you could get some Pablo Lopez regression. You could get some Twins offensive regression. They were really good the last 2 days. 12 on Saturday, 5 yesterday. Tigers offense actually the last 2 days not bad. 4 and 6. One of them a loss yesterday, but nonetheless. I think this Tigers team could be a little peskier here at home. Could give Lopez a few fits. So definitely not if you are in love with the Twins, you've missed a better number. So I wouldn't advise jumping into it now. And B, this one, I would like this one to be a lot more respect towards the Twins and Lopez if that's where I was feeling and that's where I was thinking. So I'm gonna avoid this one and say I'm leaning towards the Tigers having a nice night tonight. Wentz has shown some flashes at times, and would not surprise me again if he had a nice 4 or 5 innings here tonight. Next one up, we can kind of breeze right past it. Strider and the Braves versus Beto and the Pirates. Pirates playing better ball right now, but obviously you've got Strider and the Braves. Strider last time out 6 2/3, 5 hits, 1 earned, 2 walked, 9 Ks. After obviously he's been good all season long. There is a real strong possibility that we could get that next level of Spencer Strider going forward here. So I'm going to stay far away from it. I really do think you're going to see a good Strider performance again here tonight, but this Pirates team has been a little pesky. Beto on their side of things has been, for the most part, inconsistent, anywhere from 2 to 6 innings, and almost regardless of how well he's doing. Evening Connor, no worries of being late. Thank you for stopping by, my friend. Pirates, like I said, they've been better the last couple of weeks. Obviously, we're falling deep into the dumpster for a while. They've steadied themselves off a bit, and I think over the last couple of weeks are above 500. But as far as this game is concerned, Braves just lost 2 out of 3 to the Cubs. Their offense was fine in it. They just ran into a buzzsaw in Wrigley Field over this weekend. So expect them to jump out of it and get this win. Could it be by 1 run? Absolutely. Could it be by 10 runs? Absolutely. So I'm going to stay far away from it. But I'm going to expect Spencer Strider to be good tonight is really all I can tell you. As far as those red-hot Cubs are concerned, they are the next one up here. MLB Network, 6:10 my time, 7:10 East Coast time against the New York Mets in New York this evening. And despite how red-hot they are, 4 games above 500, everything they've been doing offensively, they find themselves as the underdog tonight against a New York Mets team 50-61 with Kodai Senga on the mound tonight. They have a 6-game losing streak, swept by the Kansas City Royals and the Baltimore Orioles. 3 runs or less in each of their last 5 games, and yet they are still the favorite here. Smiley on the other side of the mound for the Cubs, 4 2/3, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 homers last time allowed against the Reds. The Cubs ended up putting up 16 runs in that game and getting the win anyways. But nonetheless, Cubs have won 6 straight series in a row. So this is quite stinky. I would not be if you've been on the Cubs train for the last 2-3 weeks and you're 12-2 in that stretch, whatever the heck it is, then by all means go ahead and take another swing at the Cubs here against the ugly Mets. And again, this isn't as strong of a. I've seen a few situations like this summer with baseball where, on top of maybe this is the biggest stench and the Mets are going to win easy. It's also kind of alluding to the fact that the Cubs are as hot as they've been. They're not invincible. They're going to regress at some point, and it's kind of taking a swing at, well, we'll set these numbers around this until they do lose one here. So again, they do kind of lean towards Senga and the Mets, but at the end of the day, it wouldn't surprise me if the Cubs offense stayed hot. It is travel it after a nice home stretch. Now they're traveling to the East Coast. They had some big games against division rivals this past week, so now that's not that. So there is some letdown potential 100% here, and if you want to take a swing at the Mets and think this is the time, then I can hear you for sure. And I'm leaning that way. I am 100% leaning that way. But it also is kind of just taking a swing that they could be setting these Cubs odds like this until the wheels do fall off, whether it's today, whether it's tomorrow. You could absolutely see it again. I don't think they have any, fantastic pitching matchups the Cubs do. So if they win today, you're probably going to see them like this again tomorrow. But I would absolutely be behind you if you're taking a swing at the Mets tonight to predict the end of this Cubs run, because Another team that, did we expect them to put 16, 20 runs in a couple days and win 6 series in a row? I don't know. But, they're probably going to have a rough stretch at some point here these next couple of weeks. So if you want to take a swing and predict them to end their hot streak tonight, by all means, if you've been riding the streak, don't jump on the streak now. If you haven't had a cent on them the last 2 weeks, you absolutely should not be jumping in on them tonight. But if you've been riding them for, even the past weeks, 2 weeks, then, ride it until the wheels fall off, baby. But I'm going to be leaning towards the Mets, but would not be surprised if the Cubs find a way again here tonight to get to Senga. Last time out for Senga, I believe he had 11 hits allowed, only 3 earned runs, but most hits allowed by far. If you're telling me he's going to have 2 in a row, a little wonky like that, because he had been a guy all season long where he's, consistently 5-6 hits allowed. So to see 11 hits, got through it, skated by it, a little concerning, wouldn't be surprised. That's really my biggest point of, hesitation, where I think the Cubs could have something up their sleeve tonight offensively still, but plenty of reason to believe they could be let down tonight. Kansas City and Boston is the next one up. Reagans versus Bello. Reagans 6 innings, 7 hits, no runs allowed, 1 walk, 8 Ks last time versus those Mets. Bello 6 innings, 8 hits, 4 earned runs last time out. Has had a few regress starts after that strong stretch where he was making some waves. Has been a little rough lately. Not brutal, but certainly not where he was for a month and a half or so, where he was putting up 2 earned runs or less consistently. Red Sox, obviously 1-7, their last 8. They are slipping. Another team that we've talked about can be very streaky in both situations, good or bad. They're playing a Royals team that, if you weren't paying attention, had a 7-game win streak, lost their last 2 over the weekend. I think lost the series to the Phillies, but as I mentioned, did sweep I think it was the Mets there last week. So a little bit of a sign, the bright spot of the season for the Royals. We'll see if they've got any life left in them here tonight. The total is 9.5. So I wouldn't be, could the Red Sox absolutely win tonight? Bello, I think the better case, if you believe in the Red Sox, is that the Red Sox could, Bello could have a fantastic night tonight, and that's why the Red Sox win tonight. But if you're a little skeptical about Bello, then this Royals team could have something up their sleeve again tonight. I'm not saying, again, if you missed out on the 7-game win streak, it's tough to jump into it after they lost 2 games, hoping that they start another one. That's obviously not look back at what the Oakland A's did. Maybe they did it for a couple days, but I think you get my point with what I'm saying there. It's a dicey situation where you're trying to figure out the Royals and when they're good. So if you love the Red Sox tonight, it better be because of Bello. If you don't, then stay clear away from it. There could be some runs. There's a 9.5 total in this one. I'm staying far away from it. I'm not trying to jump in front of this ugly Red Sox train. Their offense has been a little stagnant. Obviously needed a little bit of a boost. It could happen tonight. It might not. But at the end of the day, I'm going to stay away from this one. I'll lean on Bello having a nice start, but that's really the only thing I'm feeling good about leaning on there for this one. Toronto and Cleveland, I believe, is the next one up. Another one that I'm probably not going to jump into. You've got, I'm already drawing a blank on how you pronounce his name. Ryu back for start number 2 of the season. Obviously was out for the majority of the season. Came back, I think, last week for his first start. Was not very good. Only went 5 innings, 9 hits, 4 earned runs. And he's here for start number 2 tonight. Cleveland, on the other hand, he's got Williams on the mound, has been solid through 4 or 5 innings pitched in his young career, has actually been pretty promising through those first few innings there. The Guardians' offense has gone quiet at the absolute wrong time. They, when we were talking about the Twins, they kind of creeped up a little bit. Just lost 2 out of 3 to my White Sox. Blew a game yesterday. Taylor made win against the White Sox. They absolutely blew it there. So if you're betting on the Guardians to have a resurgence here these last month and a half, it's because you think they have a uncanny hot streak offensively coming up down the path. Would not surprise me historically. They typically, whether they're good or bad, they typically do have one offensive hot streak regardless of what they are. So would not shock me at all if they can figure it out. But at the end of the day, Blue Jays just swept the Red Sox over the weekend. They are in good standing in the wild card right now. But again, this with Ryu coming off the IL, still hadn't been very good last week. They obviously need him to be good if they to add some legitimacy to their potential playoff run, and to get them locked into the playoffs. But nonetheless, I've been liking what I've been seeing with Williams, but would not surprise me if he's got some regression into him as well. I will lean on. I don't even want to say a lean because I hate getting into these Ryu or these pitchers off the IL starts, even second starts. I'll lean towards Cleveland, but I'm not going to touch it at all there. 2 at the 7:10 my time, 8:10 East Coast time. Colorado and Milwaukee is the first of the two there in Milwaukee. Lambert versus Peralta. Lambert, 4 innings, 4 hits, 4 earned runs last time out. Peralta, 6 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs last time out. He's been, wouldn't say hit or miss. His misses have been 3, 4 earned runs allowed for the most part. His good starts have been pretty good. So he's been steady. He's been a good rotational piece for there. As fairly decent rotational piece for them. Brewers have been treading water. They haven't been terrible, haven't been great, kind of 500 the last handful of, week or two. Fortunately for them, the Reds obviously aren't playing well, but that treading water, now the Cubs have presented themselves as a legitimate threat now for the NL Central there. So the Brewers obviously need to take care of business here. Rockies remain as consistent as they have all season long, 44 and 67 here. So the fact that you're getting Milwaukee, it was minus 290, minus 250 now. It's quite a bit of respect. I could see them winning a 3-2 type ball game or something like that, 4-3 or something like that. So I'm certainly not getting into the run line. You don't want to be taking, their offense just isn't good enough to be taking a run line. Certainly not at plus money at home. So kind of tough to get into this one. It really is no way to get into this one unless obviously you like the Rockies to hit Peralta a little bit here. So they're really, honestly, there's no true favorable odds here, really, unless you like the Rockies to put up some runs, which absolutely could happen against Peralta. It's got to be 3.5 at plus money. Not the craziest thing in the world, but with an 8.5 total and Lambert on the mound, I think you've got a Brewers win on your hands, but wouldn't surprise me if it's a 3-2, 4-3 win for them. Their offense hasn't been very good lately. They had the 14-1 victory against Pittsburgh, but outside of that, their last 5 games, 4 of their last 5 games, not including the 14-run one, have been 4 runs or less. Latter 3 runs and 1 run in at home against Pittsburgh there. So I'll go with a 1-run win for the Brewers tonight. All right, the other game at that time is going to be my White Sox hosting the New York Yankees. Normally, I would be a little pissing and moaning about having to talk about the White Sox right now, but this is actually a really good pitching matchup. Garrett Cole, Dylan Cease, easily the best pitching matchup on paper of the day, of course. Garrett Cole obviously trying to put together a Cy Young campaign. Dylan Cease, certainly not a Cy Young campaign. He has obviously shown some good points. Coming off of his ugliest start of the season, 1 2/3 inning pitch, 7 hits, 7 earned runs against the Rangers, 9 hits allowed the time before that, not as many runs allowed. These last 2 haven't had his best stuff, which typically hasn't been the issue. And whenever he's bad, it's a control issue. Stuff is fine; it's a little bit of a control issue. Stuff hasn't been quite as good these last 2. White Sox did take 2 out of 3 from Cleveland over the weekend. The Yankees split 4 with Houston over their weekend as well. With how bad I've had trouble deciphering these White Sox games. But with how bad they've been, obviously you have Cease on the mound here. The opening number, I believe, was much closer than this, and so the money has been driven up. I guess what I'm saying is I'm giving Cease and the White Sox a chance in this one. If you've been a person taking the White Sox out of this, I have been a person over the last few years that enjoys trying to find those Cole regression starts, and we are at a point where you might say that is on the horizon. You go back, had X amount of starts, really solid to open the season, then May 7th, 5 earned runs. Had 2 good starts in a row, then had a couple with 5 earned runs there, and has really been good ever since. So if you're taking that strategy, as I have in the past, typically it's a little more glaring as far as when to go against them. But if you're respecting that opening number, this might be the one. So you can see a Garrett Cole regression on the horizon. Curious to see how the White Sox clubhouse reacts to the negative reports that have come out about them. Certainly not going to deny it myself, but maybe regardless of how they feel, they might wake up and try to do something about it. They might roll over and put up a goose egg. Who knows? But Cease is obviously tough to judge. I feel good. He hasn't ever really, since he's elevated to this level, whenever he's had those starts where he's given up a lot of hits, he's done a good job of turning it around and being much better. So I will lean on that. He gave up on July 7th, gave up 11 hits, 5 runs against the Cardinals. Turned it around with a couple 3 hits, 1 earned run outings 2 times after that. So I'll lean on Dylan Cease being the reason the White Sox have an actual legitimate chance tonight. If you are betting Cole and the Yankees, you must know that it is a significantly inflated number. So you have missed the boat on when to do that. The time would have been this morning, which I do think this is a little bit of a red flag situation with the potential Cy Young, Garrett Cole here. Yankees obviously haven't been playing fantastic, but 58 and 54, excuse me, much better than my White Sox here. So I am going to lean towards the White Sox tonight. So obviously take it with a grain of salt, but I think there's enough evidence to support that the White Sox are a little live tonight. Pardon me. Giants and Angels is in the next one. Only had 2 left. Actually, let's do Texas and Oakland first, and then we'll finish with Giants and Angels. Texas and Oakland. I believe that is Dunning and Waldichuk. I'm saving this the other one for last because I don't enjoy getting into these Oakland starts. Dunning last time out was actually really good against my White Sox. 7 2/3, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 11 Ks. One of the better starts, I believe the best start of his season. And he is facing, obviously, an Oakland team, Ken Waldichuk, that has been all over the place. So if you have any sort of feel in betting against this Oakland team, then by all means, fire away. But at the end of the day, I don't have any. I've told you I've never had any type of feel this season in betting against them. Rangers are rattling off a bunch of wins in a row. Maybe I would like this one to be minus 250 or higher if I was loving the Rangers against this Oakland team. Maybe they had some scrap into them. They took 2 out of 2 against the Giants over the weekend. 8 runs yesterday, so maybe they got a bunch of runs up their sleeve. But having said that, if that is the case, you should still be more interested in their team total over them winning this game because they might go, their team total is plus money over 3.5. They might get 6 runs, and Waldichuk might give up 8 himself. So maybe Oakland's live, maybe they aren't. If you're doing anything and you think they've got some hot streak in them or something like that, just go to the team total and get them plus money. Giants and Angels for the last one of the evening. Should be a nice little series here on the West Coast. Logan Webb and Pablo Sandoval. We've talked about Sandoval quite a bit. 5 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs last time out, but 4 walks. His hits are 4. He's given up 4 hits or less in each of his last 4. So that is really promising if you, like us, have been a follower of Sandoval. But those walks are still a little bit of an issue. He's been averaging around 3 walks a game. These even with this better streak of limiting hits. So it is still a little concerning, not where it was last year by any means. He's going up against Webb, 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs last time out. But obviously, Angels 6 L's in a row, last 4 to the Mariners, who have now put them into wild card contention, maybe even more serious contention than themselves. So that was obviously a low point of their season. And the Giants, maybe you'd say this is the low point of their season, but they're in fine standing there tied with the Phillies for the top wild card spot. They lost those 2 against Oakland, as I was mentioning there. So obviously not where you want to do when you're in wild card chase. But they should be fine coming off of that now short trip to Anaheim for the Angels here. Giants minus 120 as we speak right now. This one has flipped. It was Angels minus 115, I believe, at open, and now you got Giants minus 120. People betting against this Angels team. So honestly, I think it's a situation where if you were looking in the morning, I think the value might have been on the underdog. Now, I think the value has kind of swung back a little bit, and you might be at a good spot to take this Angels team at plus money at home here, trying to end this losing streak because they obviously are still in things. Offense was not good these last 2 days, but before that, 5, 3, and 7 runs, all in losses, obviously, but offense went stagnant these last 2 games. Giants offense has been a little all over the place. 6 runs yesterday. 1 in each of the last 2 days before that. 1-2 loss to Oakland, 1-0 win over Arizona. If you have any feel for these pitchers, then fire away. But at the end of the day, I'm going to lean towards this Angels team to get it done. Don't want to try and get in front of that train. And I would say you should wait, and this might just be a good game and a good series. But I'll lean towards the Angels and Sandoval, but would not surprise me if they had another ugly one. Wouldn't surprise me if Logan Webb was really, really good and continued another 3rd day in a row of giving this Angels team offense some issues. So I will lean towards the Angels, but don't quote me on it. It's certainly not my favorite of the day by any means. But without further ado, that about does it, my friends. Dodgers now 8-5 over the over the Padres at an 8 spot in the 4th inning for the Dodgers. So I guess we started the show in the middle of that 8 spot in the 4th inning there. Another homer after I was talking about it. Grand slam for Mookie Betts. So there you go on that one. As far as home run props, like I said, maybe take a look at that Miami and Cincinnati game. If I'm obviously not a weatherman, and hopefully this app is correct, but mentioned something about wind blowing out of that stadium with a 10.5 game total. I see now down to 10, but nonetheless, let's see. Home run props for that game. Maybe a little Jorge Soler action, plus 230. My man Jake Berger actually plus 300 got his first home run in a Marlins uniform. Obviously, I'm a homer for that one, but the guy's got some pop. If he's rolling with it, the wind's blowing out, that might be a good one to look at. So I'll go with a nice Jake Berger home run for old time's sake there. So without further ado, that about does it, my friends. Jake Berger, 26 homers on the season, by the way, but 4 for 18 since coming over, but only the 1 homer. So I would say he's due for another one here. But nonetheless, I will go ahead and get on out of here. Thank you all for stopping by. I will be here, I believe, all 5 days this week. Actually, Thursday, I think there's a goofy MLB slate and only like 4 games in the evening. So maybe not Thursday, but I will be around this week. I will be here again tomorrow afternoon for the closing bell. And we will be getting geared up, ready to go for the start of football season in a few weeks here. So without any further ado, I will go ahead and get out of here. Thank you all for stopping by. And thank you again. Please continue to support everyone. I know Jeff on East Coast Sports Investors family has got, plenty of good shows coming up. Plenty of great things going the rest of this summer, rest of this month, and obviously in the fall. So keep on stopping back. Stay true to yourself. Stay responsible. And we will see y'all later.